Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Indie Creative Comics Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Angel, with John Pepe.
How's it going, Angel?
It's going. It's another Monday, so you know what that means. More books read, and the weekend's over. Dude, the weekends just seem to just fly by. It's insane, and now it's getting cold outside.
I had to light I hold off as long as I can on lighting the pilot light on the gas heater to my right over here, and I did it, and it's cozy, it's nice. I was gonna try and take a nap before. I was like, it's too cold. I'm just gonna do the pilot light now.
No, yeah, we have split units that have heat in it, so I hold on to those as long as possible. But this past weekend, I had to turn on the furnace.
Yeah, I try to wait till like November 1st at the earliest, but I had
to. And I'm still trying to hold on to shorts for as long as I can. It seems like the pants are going to come on out now. It's all good. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Indie Comics Creator Podcast. John, to your right, my left, or my right, your left, is our resident historian. He knows everything and anything about every single comic book since like the 1940s, maybe even earlier. Shit that I didn't even know that it existed. Me, I'm just more of your business end and appreciation of artsy fartsy. I'm also one half of Indie Comics Creator Publisher, where we publish really cool, nifty stories. And we're going to be talking about one of these stories in an upcoming podcast that we have coming up soon with a gentleman by the name of, or do I have him here? Yes, I do. Benjamin Dean. Who runs, I believe this is called thepointofclicking.com. And he does reviews on Kickstarter campaigns, which is pretty cool. Really supporting the independent creator out there. So we're going to have him on shortly. We gave him a reader's copy of an advanced copy of Project Shadowbreed, issue number 1, along with John. And so we're going to chat a little bit about that book and what we got going on, which I'm really excited about. And for those of you that are interested, yes, about a week away before we launched Project Shadowbreed issue 1. I'm really excited about that. Listen out for the podcast is going to talk a little bit about it, preview, or head over to projectshadowbreed.com and get some information on when we launch. Really excited about this, and I'm working. Actually, I just finished one other cover for issue 2, and I'm working on another cover while I'm lettering issue 3. So we're pretty far ahead as to where we need to be. I'm kind of excited about that in that respect. So it's cool. We've got some books for you that we read over the last couple of weeks. I know John was sick. That's why we didn't meet last week. So that's why we're meeting today. I pushed everything off. But really quickly, what is it called? Neon Ichiban. Does that ring a bell to you?
No. I know the two words. I just don't know them together.
Yes. So the co-founders of Comixology, I believe it was.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which are also co-founders to Distillery, the publisher that publishes those oversized books that I cannot stand because they're oversized, but some of them are pretty cool stories. They created another, I guess, manga comic reading platform called Neon Ichiban. And I had signed up a while ago just because it hadn't launched, and I just wanted to know when it launched. And they officially launched because I got the email. And similar to like Comixology, where you can buy the comics and download them and have your own library and stuff like that, they do the same thing. There's a couple of things that they actually offer, which is pretty interesting. So I don't even know if you have to sign up because you can log in, you can sign up. I don't think there's a fee. I haven't tried it yet. I'll find out, but I know you can pay per book as well, like you used to in Comixology. But it has day 1 releases. So when books release on that Wednesday, you can actually get them on the platform as well for those publishers that are having that happen. Along with variant covers and everything. So in Comixology, I think it wasn't variant covers. I think it was just the main cover and that's it. You can actually purchase the variant covers. I wonder if that includes like the the ratio covers.
Interesting. And maybe there's a higher price tier for a ratio variant. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
ratio variants coincide with the amount of books that were bought
Physically.
right?
Yeah.
So what
You
is that?
could probably apply
Digital.
the same model digitally. You would just like, so if it's cover price, whatever, the $3.99, whatever, $4.99. And then again, if you're getting to a ratio, you're like, okay, look, you have an option to get this digitally 1 in 50 variant cover for $10.
Yeah,
Could,
but then do they do market price or do they do their own prices?
that's a trick. Yeah, I don't know.
Huh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. The other thing was you can own your own collection, so you can download the comics and mangas, whatever it is, DRM free, which is pretty interesting. So I guess you can download it onto your computer and you own like the actual comic. In Comixology, I don't believe you could do that.
Well, a lot of these like digital platforms, you can download it to your device, but if like case in point of like the big company that makes their own tablets, right? You download it onto your tablet,
Yep.
but then once you like walk from that service or like they can pull it
from
your thing.
Yeah.
So I who knows what kind of reach these guys would have. I would like the idea that like you could download it, you own it, you pay.
You own it, yeah. But
even
I wonder
if the company goes away,
Yes. All right. I got to figure out what kind of platform you have to read it on. Like, is it a PDF or is it its own proprietary like reader and stuff like that?
I get, yeah.
You can get remarks as well, one of a kind remarks, and then there's a digital marketplace where you can resell your comic to someone else. Your digital comic. It's crazy. I'm gonna dig into a little bit further. I just started digging around a little bit. I want to check it out. But I was looking at like their catalog of like recent releases, and it's everything that's pretty much out now, and it's at cover price.
Right.
So that's a little concerning as well. I think if you were paying for digital, you could get it a little bit cheaper, even if it was a quarter or 50 cents.
That's always been the thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you can't transfer that over. $4.99 to $4.99. That's insane. For that, I walk into a comic shop and actually buy it physically. But yeah, I'll check that out. Neon Ichiban. It's a weird name, but I think because of their mix of American comics along with manga, it's all good. But yeah, I'll check it out and I'll let you guys know what my journey is like over the next couple of weeks. I don't want to fall on a rabbit hole either. All right, cool. So that brings us into the books that we have for you this week, because that's all the news that we had for you. I think we have 5 books this week. Yeah. So let's rock and roll. Let's dive into it, because a lot of them are really interesting and a lot of them we kind of like scratched our head against. But yes, it's all good. Why don't you start?
All right, I'm gonna start with this new one from I've always talked about one of my favorite publishers, Oni Press, and this is called Yuletide from Oni.
Nice.
What a gorgeous cover, right?
Yeah,
we're gonna get to that. So yeah, look, man, it's not even Halloween. We're 5 days away from Halloween, and look, it's a Christmas book. Look at that. Yes. We're already celebrating Christmas. However, and that was one of my first thoughts. However, what I like about this a lot is that it is a horror themed Christmas book, or a Christmas themed horror book, and it's about an adventure book as well. And it really, you mentioned me being a comics historian. I'm a historian in general. I love all sorts of history, and I even love like old mythology and things like that. So we all know about the Krampus, right? We all know about like the dark side of Christmas and before it became Christmas, right? And so this plays on that, except they're not using Krampus. They are using pretty much all the other dark and weird and child-killing Scandinavian, Nordic, Celtic mythological figures. And so its backstory is very cool. It's basically, way back when Pershta, who is who we see here, sort of like the Night Queen, the Winter Queen, the one who will gut naughty children and stuff their entrails with garbage. That was her bag.
Nice.
Right. So be good, right? And
for goodness sake.
Yeah. So she basically leads all of the dark, other versions, other mythologies, and characters that tortured naughty children at the winter solstice. And it's called the Wild Hunt. And she faces off against the Yule King, who traps her and all these other demons in this wooden box. And that box is never to be opened again. So that's your backstory. So now we flash forward to present day. It's a town called Christmas, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
Your lead kid here is a kid who hates Christmas, and his sister has just been crowned the Yule Queen. So he's like middle school, she's like high school. Basically, this town in Christmas, Pennsylvania, it's like Christmas 24/7, and it's even worse at Christmas time for this kid. And he basically, just kind of makes so it's a big spectacle. It's a big deal. The Yule King and Yule Queen get crowned for the parade the next day. And this kid just totally just rains on that parade and starts, they're having the press interview, and he's standing there next to his sister, and he just rips it to how, like, no, Christmas is really dark, and this is like such a sanitized Hallmark holiday, the way we celebrate it. He's like, he knows all this old stuff, right? And his best friend is a kid who he's a Jewish kid who loves Christmas. So you have this kid whose family celebrates Christmas, hates it, but his other friend loves Christmas because he doesn't celebrate it. And it's a kind of a neat little inner relationship between these guys. These kids, the way they talk, it's very savvy. It is a little adult. It does remind me a bit of South Park, right? But basically, there's a lot of funny twists and turns and a lot of interesting characters, including the new girl in town who our lead character kid has a crush on. Her uncle runs Santa Land, which is like a Santa, paraphernalia shop. But he also moonlights as a stripper who dresses as Santa. So like some real quirky, weird stuff, right? And like I said, like that South Park element, I think, is very present without being crude or using any of that colorful language, and definitely doesn't get us like contemporary as with the news like South Park is known to do, especially now. So it's what it really reminds me of, especially as things take off, because in this basement, this guy has a museum of all these dark Christmas, pre-Christmas characters and demons, and he has that wooden chest. And you also, so that's one end of your quest. The other end, you have, the sister again with her high school friends, including the new exchange student from Scandinavia, who is like looking for this chest because he's a little bit more than just your average teenager. And as these types of stories go, yes, this chest gets open. Procta and all her horrid demon followers are unleashed upon Christmas, Pennsylvania. And, there is this big grand adventure that these kids are embarking on. Really loved that vibe. It's like Goonies. It's like Gremlins. It is. It's like a Richard Donner, Steven Spielberg, Christopher Columbus kind of vibe here. Nice. So it's a bunch of kids. Middle school and high school kids are on an adventure. Already, there's a major seemingly casualty. So again, I don't want to spoil that because it kind of hit me too. I was like, whoa, that was intense. I want to talk about.
Is this a one shot?
No, this is at least a mini.
Okay.
Definitely going to continue, not a one shot. So yeah, there's the cliffhanger ending for the first chapter to get you through to the next. Yes. I want to talk about the cover because this cover really is what made me pick this up. I picked this up and I didn't flip through it. I usually do flip through. This cover is absolutely gorgeous. Be mindful that this cover is not representative of the artwork inside the comic. It is a lot more cartoony. It is a lot more kinetic.
Yep. Okay. I see what you're talking
about. So it still works. It really works amazingly well for the vibe of the book. And the cover is gorgeous. And I thought that the art inside, well, again, opening it up and taking a look and being like, well, that's not really what I thought I was going to get into.
Right.
It really works. It works really well for the vibe of this comic. So let's talk about the people behind this comic, because that's also pretty interesting who has worked on this. So the cover, I'm going to say this main cover is by an artist named Ito. So props to them. And big props to the interiors. So it's written by George Northy. It's illustrated by Rachel Aragno, colored by Michelle Madsen, lettered by Richard Starkings and Comic Craft's Tyler Smith. And you have a logo designed by Winston Gambro. I really like the logo. It gets its point, but it's very simple. Interior design, Carrie Sosi, edited by Matt Dreyer, associate editor, Young Hoo Lee. And this is very interesting. Special thanks to Gail Ann Hurd and Philip Kobylanski of Valhalla Entertainment. So Gail Ann Hurd is a pretty big movie producer and has done a lot of stuff out there. And George Northy is a writer and producer of film, TV, and comics. He has written the cult teen comedy feature GBF, and has written for series like Faking It, Charmed, Exo Kitty, and others. He made his comics debut in EC Comics' Shiver Suspense Stories #1 from Oni, a story called Curse of the Magi. So this is a film and television writer making his way into comics. So this is like his second comic work. And he is also developing a film version of Yuletide. So comic that he wants to make into a film, and I really hope he gets that chance. I hope he can find whether he goes live action, a director with the sensibility of the ones that I mentioned that to match this story, because again, we're off to a really great start on this. I look forward to seeing where this goes. This really appeals to a lot of what I like I said, mythology, historical fiction, the difference between what we celebrate as Christmas versus what Christmas used to be, or that this time period used to be, and just a lot of fun with some really interesting characters. If he goes the animated route, I really do hope he kind of uses Rochelle Aragno's art style for the animated. But yeah, Yuletide #1, Oni Press. Nice. Give it a shot.
There you go, guys. Check that one out. Okay, me turn. All right, so what do I have for you guys? Woo-wee. All right, cool. So Terminator Metal. If it has Terminator in it, I'm going to pick it up, even if it's not what I thought it was going to be. I guess this is the second round, because I remember Declan Shalvey doing the first round of the mini as well, and he's doing this one as well. So we've got Terminator Metal. Let's get the creative crew out of the way. So you got Declan Shalvey and Rory McConville as writers. You have Lorenzo Ray on art. You have Colin Cracker as the colorist, and doing letters, Jeff Eckleberry, and doing covers too is Declan. Pretty cool. That's the main cover by Declan Shalvey, and it's got a T800 on it with a little red line, so you can distinguish it from all the other T800s, because this one's name is actually Tex. So I think in the second round of Terminator, I think they're doing the same thing as well, and I think that's what I didn't gravitate to in the first one, is that each one was sort of like its own anthology inside of a big story arc, I believe. So the main, or the consistency throughout, are the Terminators and Skynet, and the stories that involve the humans are rotated casts that come in and out. For the most part, most of the cast dies at the end of each issue, and then you move the story forward through the timeline, and then there's another group of people that pick up the story. But I found this to be really, as much as I've read as far as Terminators and stuff like that, I think the last Terminator one that I read that I really liked, it wasn't Sector, was it? It was Transformers and Terminator that IDW did, like maybe a couple years back. So, and it was like under the radar, which was so weird, because it was like a 4-issue mini that was really, 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 really good. Because I remember the Terminators trying to find Sarah Connor, and then the Transformers intervening somehow, which is really cool. Yeah, and then there's been mix of stuff here and there, but yeah, whenever Terminator pops up, I enjoy it, because even most of the movies most people don't like, I've enjoyed all 19,000 of the Terminator movies that they made, starting with the original James Cameron stuff, which it still holds on to today. My God, if that movie's on TV, even if it's commercials, I'll have to just stop and just watch it, because it's so good. And then it always seems like And that's one of those franchises where if you have all the money in the world to put into CGI, but the story's not good, the original outweighs it so much because it's practical effects in that original one. Because it's what, 1984, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's before CGI even was thought about. Pretty much it's all practical, and love when that freaking machine at the very end gets squished by the other machine. Fantastic. All right, I'm going off on a tangent, but cool. Yes, so I believe it's going that same route because of the way that this one ended. Without giving spoilers, basically you have Skynet, you have the war, and you have one character's name is Percy, and this one who's kind of narrating you through the story. And they've gotten hold of information that they need to bring back to base that's going to help win the war against Skynet. The one thing that was really great about this is that he actually found a T-800 in working order. They brought it to him without destroying it, and he was able to examine it for quite some time and have the ability to reprogram it. So he reprograms this one particular T-800 and calls it Tex. So he actually gives it a name. And so it's their journey pretty much just going through where the destination of having the files that they need to get to camp, and then the people that they meet along the way and what happens. And what's crazy is sort of like the irony of him befriending this robot who thinks of nothing but zeros and ones. They come across this group that tags along with them, but one of them is sort of like, why are you giving it a name? It's not human. That he becomes sort of like the antagonizer for this particular issue. And then you see sort of like what happens at the very end, the culmination of him trying to befriend this robot or treat it like a human being. But then we see what happens at the very end. Without spoilers, it's not a good ending for a lot of people. But it was interesting. I mean, the art in it was really, really cool. The colors and the art style were perfect for this particular story. So it'd be interesting to see if they're going to keep the same creative team, other than like obviously keeping the writers all the way through, but maybe switching the artists depending on the year that they're in or where the next story is, to sort of give it a different mood rather than using the same colorist and artist, so that it's not the same tone as the same book, but because it's going to move forward in time, it'll be different. But yeah, I mean, the art in it was really, really great. I love the way that it wasn't as I want to say as human as the original Terminator was, when the kid was teaching them like how to say the lingo and stuff like that, where Arnold was catching on. But you could see sort of like this back and forth that they've been together for a while because of certain things that they were saying to each other, like, it's been how many times have you saved me, blah blah, and then he would reply in like his robot voice, I count at least 13 instances, blah blah blah. And so they'd have this back and forth where you kind of almost chuckle because it is kind of funny. But I think the reason why I dropped the last one, it was because they were self-contained stories, and I wasn't sure how it was going to move forward through with the other issues. This was like that. However, I think I'm going to stick this one out. So I'm going to pick up issue number 2 and see what it does in regards to pushing the Terminator, I guess, back. It's weird because the Terminators are the ones that are bad, but they're the ones pushing the story forward, if that makes any sense. Usually it's the protagonist in the story that you follow all the way through, but here it's the protagonist is the bad guy. So even though the cast changes, it changes around the bad people that are trying to kill them, which is funny. So yeah. So guys, if you like Terminator, you read the last one. I mean, Declan is cool. I mean, writer, artist, he does it all. Yeah. So you can't go wrong.
So with the other Terminator series, what I remember, because I also fell off fairly quick, but that was telling stories of Terminators throughout the past,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think first issue was this couple that were on the run from the 70s until
Right.
like the 90s, and then the Terminator catches up with them. I think the second story arc was actually over a couple issues, Terminator and Vietnam War, things like that. Everything pre-Skynet Awakening, pre-Skynet War. Seems like this Terminator Metal will be these stories taking place within the actual time period of the war, the battle against Skynet.
Yeah, so current. So it actually says 2025
Yeah.
when it opens
Yes,
up. So,
because
so he's Skynet.
Skynet actually awakened April 14th this year.
Was it really?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was this year. Skynet awakened.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's current, but it was enjoyable. I liked it. Yeah, if you're a Terminator fan, you're gonna pick up right into it. If you're looking for something with a robot apocalypse, absolutely pick it up. It's cool stuff. All
Which
right,
has already started, according to Cameron's chronology.
Yeah, pretty much. All this AI stuff, but we'll see. All right, you're up.
All right. Oh boy. So this is something I also picked up just because I was like, all right, let me see. Let's see what I could do that is not necessarily something I normally would gravitate towards. And so I wound up checking out Craniacs #1 from Titan Comics, and yes, it's a flip book. It's a flip book. It's a flip book. So Angel, do you know what Craniacs are? Because I had no idea. Don't worry, you're 50 years old, and despite the toys behind you, you are an adult. Craniacs are I guess a pack of they're trading cards, much in the same vein as Garbage Pail Kids. Remember those?
That's what I was just gonna say. They remind me of Garbage Pail Kids.
These are skull-headed teens who live on two different planets that somehow collided, and instead of destroying both planets, the planet was fused together. So one half is called Retrovia, and they're all like cave people with these big skull heads, but hair and everything. And then the other is Futera, which is all future-like people. And you are not allowed to cross the border from whatever side you're on. And they live separate societies, one in the future and one just caveman-esque in the past. And that's your hook for this. There's not really much to it. But I have to say, while this is probably the stupidest comic I've ever read, I loved it because it's all skull and bone puns. It's just full of puns and stuff, and some bands they listen to, like in Futera, Billy Skullish. They watch Stranger Skulls. They play Skullcraft. In Retrovia, Ozzy Osbourne, Aerosmash, Bon Jovi, Mudtalica. Those are the big bands. The Ramones are a big band there. So this was just kind of right up my stupid alley of liking just really stupid stuff. And I found this to be a lot of fun. So this is the brainchild, the skull child of Ira Friedman and Joe Simcoe. And so Joe Simcoe is the artist on both stories in the flip book. Both stories are written by Shali Fish, colored by Valentina Bianconi, lettered by Dave Lentz, edited by Jonathan Wilkins, and designed by Matt Bookman. Now, Shali Fish is a great writer. He writes a lot of great all-ages material. Has done a lot of stuff for DC, I believe. I think he did the Batman Scooby-Doo series that were like actually really cool deep dives into Batman's 85-year history, but done for kids. It was such a really cool concept, and he did that really well. So Craniacs, again, is very much for kids, but I think it's a great thing because with the flip book format, you kind of get to see how the kids live in Futera. You get basically the same story beats throughout both sides, right? And how their school structure and things like that. So that's really kind of neat, kind of fun. So if you're a parent reading this with your kid, you can kind of go through the parallels and explain like, oh yeah, this is like how things how they're using the same story beats to tell different stories. The neat thing is the kids you follow, like both their parents are rulers of their respective halves. Right. So that's kind of funny. And then of course in the middle, the kids are going to meet. Kids meet, and you flip it over, you read the other story, and it's the other side of it. The kids meet. So I think that's a really cool storytelling structure. I think it's really cool to introduce kids to storytelling structure and how you can tell like the same story, but from two different perspectives. So I found a lot of value in this. I thought this was really cool. Bad puns, check. Flip book, check. Educational value, check. Edutainment, right there it is, right there. So if you really want to turn your brain off, and just have kind of fun, or you want looking for something for your young kids to read, Craniacs from Titan Comics.
Nice. Check it out, kiddies. Craniacs from Titan Comics. All right, moving along. Here we go. So my next one, what did I do with that? All right, cool. So Warwolf from Mad Cave Studio Comics. I like Mad Cave. I'm reading right now Kill All Immortals. They're on their second volume. What was the one that was Aphrodite something, which was pretty cool that I read from them as well. So whenever they come out with stuff, I try to pick it up because they have some pretty cool stories. So Warwolf, number 1. It seemed interesting enough. The title itself just got me like War and Wolf. Yeah, I'm digging it. And then sort of have like this. Who's the guy? I'm gonna blank out, but from Evil Dead.
A little Ash, Ash Williams.
Ash Williams there. So
with
a staple gun.
Staple gun, yeah.
Yeah, from the construction site.
Yep.
One of those nail guns. All right, cool. So creative team on this is Steve Orlando. Writing artist is Marco Perugini. Colorist is Pascal Tora, and letters by Lucas Gattoni. Okay, so really quickly, the art is pretty cool in this. The facial expressions are really, really, really great off of this, and you've got some aliens in here and stuff like that. I was trying to figure out what this book was, and it was one of these books where I had to go read the synopsis just to make sure that I was on the same page. But when the synopsis gives you more than what you got in the first issue, then it doesn't have me worried. Like I could understand what was going on in the story. And basically you have this character Bruin. You'll have him kind of showing him in his childhood. So this is the 70s. So he's in his probably like either preteen or teens, being bullied. And then you sort of have like this timeline of him growing up. There's a little bit of non-nudity, but suggestive nudity of him going through life sort of as the person either being picked on or just not achieving everything that he wanted to achieve in life, not being that go-getter guy, and ends up landing a job as a security guard, but is still kind and stuff like that to this one homeless guy that he brings food to and stuff like that. And the security guards that he's always gets put on with end up falling asleep. And he's sort of like in this internal dialogue throughout the book, but out loud, about how he wants more out of his life. And then one day, guarding the warehouse with the other two guards sleeping, randomly, these aliens just phase into the warehouse that he happens to be guarding because he said he wanted some excitement, and he said, oh shit, there it goes. And basically what he does is he ashes them. He just takes them all out. It was pretty cool. I mean, the colors are really great. If you look at the facial expressions, I love this contrast of like using a negative space, the blacks and stuff like that to really make things pop, which is great. And so basically you have him take on these three aliens that landed in the warehouse takes them out, and then you have the guards finally wake up towards the very end, and they're like, "Hey, you're gonna be a hero." And all of a sudden, you see more aliens coming, and they're like, "Uh-oh." So yeah, that's basically what happens in this book. And I don't know what Warwolf has anything to do with what happened in this book. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it another issue, because the pacing in it was kind of like the beginning of the book with the sequence of him getting bullied and then going into all of his years of growing up and, trying to please people, trying to overcome in his life to move ahead, and then just shifting and landing in that security guard position, which ends up being 1984. I think it's the last login, right? So that would be current in this book, 1984. And then the aliens landing, and then him just, going all ash on everybody. But if you read the synopsis, it gives you even more detail as to what's going to happen in the later issues. That makes it seem a little bit more interesting. So, is it worth it? I want to say yes, it was. It probably could have benefited from being a double-sized issue, so that we can stretch out maybe a little bit more of that stuff that was going on with him, and then you can stretch out a little bit more of what was going on with the aliens, and then maybe sort of like what happens after the interaction with the aliens. So it's not bad by any means. It was just the pacing in it was so fast. The jumps were so fast, and it got to the action so fast from him being a child, going through life, and then just taking these guys out, that it almost felt like I was ransacked, and then I had to sit there with a cigarette in my mouth and say, "Okay, just give me a second to breathe," kind of thing. And it's been a while since I've read a comic like that. So where the pacing is just so fast that you're just like, "Wow, what did I just read?" kind of thing. But it was pretty interesting. So I'm going to give it another issue, because it is a mini. Most of the Mad Cave stuff are minis for the most part. If they stretch off, into other volumes. But yeah, this is probably going to be, it doesn't say whether or not it's 4 issues or 6 issues. But we'll find out, I guess. I'm going to give it another issue and see where this new set of aliens who have come in go with the story. So yeah, if you like aliens, if you like Evil Dead, sort of like it's funny because a lot of like the poses that he was in, a lot of the mannerisms that he had reminded me of Ash, and that's why I kept thinking Evil Dead. So yeah, we'll see if he ends up going, yeah, baby, in it at all. But check it out, Warwolf, Mad Cave.
Groovy. All right,
una más.
All right, man. It is Halloween. It is spooky season. And one of my favorite things about Halloween are a lot of comics to give you like Halloween specials or one shots. It's sort of like when we were kids and we watched these sitcoms and you'd be like, oh, it's the Halloween episode. This is great. This is a lot of fun. So it's not uncommon for something like that to happen. I think even unlikely team ups. I think we had Elvira and Harley Quinn one shot a couple weeks ago, for Halloween time. And so and I think DC always does their seasonal specials and things like that. And of course, for the vast amount now of horror comics and horror anthology comics that are already out there on the stands, they also will give you their Halloween one shots. So Oni brought back EC Comics recently. They just had a Western themed horror Halloween one shot. Mark Spears, Monsters, he has a new gimmicky blind bag issue 1, Monster versus Wolf, that came out specially for Halloween. And Creep Show is back with a new volume, but they also did a Super Creep Show one-shot special, which are all superhero themed horror stories. And I love the anthology format. I think you get a lot of bang for your buck. So there's a series that started just about a year and a half ago, a little under a year and a half ago, called Hello Halloween. It is from Boom Studios, and that is a horror anthology series. And it some of the stories, I guess, are serialized, at least within the first few issues, and then they'll drop off, and then other serialized stories will start. A lot of great creators roll through on Hello Darkness, and they decided this year to do a Hello Halloween one-shot special.
Ooh,
now,
nice cover.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite artists, Fraser Irving, who I have not seen much in recent years. I was just thinking about him recently, and then boom, here comes this cover. They have like their little mascot. This character here. Sure, she's on all the covers. I don't read Hello Darkness, so I don't know if she plays into any of the stories. It doesn't look like she does like the horror host capacity, even though she does remind me a lot of. If you remember Cry for Dawn, J. Michael Linsner's Angry Christ Comics horror anthology that introduced it to Dawn. And before he made Dawn sort of a character in her own right, she was just the host for each short story that he would do. So she kind of holds that sort of, she's their mascot, we'll say. So, in fact, they have a nice little ad here for the next issue of Hello Darkness, which is issue 16. It's on sale November 19th, just in time for Thanksgiving. So you can see their little horror spin on Thanksgiving right there, serving up some fresh brains. So gives you a sense of kind of what you're going to get with this. So I believe this is the same for Hello Darkness, but this Hello Halloween one-shot developed and curated by Bryce Carlson. Bryce Carlson has a really interesting letter in the back of the book called The Spirit of Halloween. He was raised Jehovah's Witness, so he never got to celebrate Halloween until his first Halloween when he was 33 years old. He took his 3-year-old son, and now he's like, he goes every year now in costume and everything. He's a big fan now of Halloween, so good on him for that. He roped up a really great teams of creators for this. So we basically have you have 4 short stories, all of varying length, and then you have a 1-page with like 3 one-panel gags that are really kind of twisted in and of themselves. So the first story is called The Graveyard Club. It is written by a guy named R.L. Stein.
I think I heard of him.
Yeah, I've heard of him too. Yeah, I think that is actually quick digression. I met him once back in like 2017, 2018. I was working at a bookstore in Columbus Circle, and he rolled in and signed some of the Goosebumps books that we had. And I talked to him a little bit. He had just come out with at least the first issue of his Man-Thing miniseries for Marvel. And
does not mention that ever again.
Well, we did joke about how he wanted to call it Giant Size Man-Thing. So that's my little R.L. Stein story. So his story is illustrated by Carola Borelli, colored by Francesco Segala, and lettered by Jim Campbell. Graveyard Club, I believe, is a comic that he does have with Boom Studios, which is a big, thick comic. It's like the old Prestige format, like the old Dark Knight Returns format, right? And I have not read that. This seems like a good sort of 4 to 8 page introduction to the characters and that world. A bunch of kids who live in Gravesend, and they want to decorate the cemetery for Halloween. The local cop says you can't do that. You don't have a permit. They decide to dress up as zombies and scare everybody. But wait, guess what? There's a real zombie invasion that happens. So that's kind of cool.
That's cool.
Really weird cliffhanger ending. So again, I'm now curious to check out Graveyard Club to see how this connects, or if this is just like an isolated teaser. Robert Hack has 1 page of 3 one-panel gags that were really funny. That's called I Can't Take You Anywhere. Some of them are pretty twisted. Let me see if I can. I'm going to give you one without trying to spoil the others. But it's basically this kid. It's this kid and his dad are trick-or-treating, and the kid's costume is like those old Ben Cooper costumes with the plastic mask, the smock. But the mask is of his dad, and the smock says "World's Biggest Fucking Loser." And the dad almost looks like Charlie Brown, like an adult Charlie Brown. So that was really funny to me. I thought that was worth that. Just that page alone. The other 2 gags are pretty silly and twisted. Robert Hack gives us a story called Ouija, which is about a Ouija board, but again, it is pronounced we. It is done phonetically.
Oh,
So
it's funny.
about this guy who buys this Ouija board at a at a thrift store, an antique store, and the voices, your narrator are the voices of the demons in the Ouija board, telling him to unleash them and unleash the darkness and all the carnage and all the things that they will do. If this was a longer story, it would go places you expect, but since it's a short story, it does take a really funny turn. So I thought that was really cool. Again, don't want to spoil that. The longest story is Johnny Pumpkin Time, and that is written by Sean Patrick Boyd, illustrated by Elijah Henry, colored by Jason Wordy, and lettered by Taylor Esposito. This is kind of neat. This reminded me a lot of Halloween 3. Because basically you have these kids who are addicted to this internet thing called Johnny Pumpkin Time, and he's telling them to take the Yum Yum Challenge, which is basically post yourself eating a whole bag of Yum Yum candy without throwing up. And the kids start doing that, but then they go insane and start doing really weird, grotesque things like one straight A student pierced her tongue with a pencil. You can see that right there.
Man.
And some other really cool, neat, gory stuff. So, yeah, this is really like Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, where the candy makes the kids, do horrific, bizarre things. It turns out that this Johnny Pumpkin guy has these microchips in the candy so that he can experience what they're experiencing. So
Nice.
really, really bizarre, interesting, and grotesque. So that was a lot of fun.
So did each one of the stories have a book that's already associated with them, or some of them just like
except for Graveyard Club? That's the only one that has a book associated with it. These are all just really standalone stories. So
so
the next
cool pickup of an anthology then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I got two more here really quick. So we got one called Samhain, or if you're Donald Pleasance in Halloween 2, Samhain. That is written and illustrated by Megan Hutchinson and lettered by Jim Campbell. And that's this really neat story about Irish immigrants in Boston in 1936. The grandmother sets up a table in tribute to keep the spirits at bay.
Yeah.
She tells the two young kids about why she does this, and the two kids sneak down in the middle of the night and they eat the candy that's on the tribute table and are sword fighting with the corn of the cobs there, not realizing that by doing so, they're actually unleashing the demons and not keeping the demons at bay. So that's a pretty cool one with another good horrific ending. And then Billy Pritzker, Talk Too Much, written by Paul Aller, illustrated by Nil Vendrill, colored by Rebecca Good, and lettered by Pat Brosseau, is basically about a bunch of kids who get it in their heads that it's a good idea to unleash carnage on Halloween, trick or treat. However, they decide to double dip, and not only do they get the treats, but after they get the treats, they throw the eggs at the houses. They smash the pumpkins. It escalates. They throwing rocks through windshields of cars. And of course, when you try to double dip, when you break the rules, when you take the treats and then commit the trick, you get confronted by the demons.
Nice.
So that rounds out this collection. We have logo credit to Tom Muller, designed by Grace Park. Contributing editors are David Marriott, Elizabeth Bryce, Sebastian Gerner, associate editor Carolyn Butler, and then of course editor-in-chief for Boom is Andy Schmidt, and Bryce Carlson edited and, like it says, developed and curated this entire grotesque, entertaining mess. I loved it.
Pretty cool.
It was fantastic. You want to get a good Halloween one shot, just to read a whole bunch of really cool short stories that just really bring what you would expect from a good Halloween horror story anthology one shot. This is the one. It's $5.99, but you got a lot of great content for that.
That's what I was going to ask too. What's the scary price on that one?
Yeah, that's and that's Hello Darkness is a $5.99 book across the board. But again, you do get a lot. You get lots of stories, lots of great creators. Really makes me want to check out the main book too. So if that was the intention, good on you, Bryce.
Nice. So you got what, 5 or 6 stories in there?
5 stories plus the 1 page with the 3 gags.
Right.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
It's good stuff.
All right, guys, check it out. Hello Darkness from Boom Studios. They still haven't fixed their damn freaking barcodes.
That's the scariest thing about it.
All right, kiddies, that's all that we have for you this week. That was a pretty decent. I mean, the picks have been getting more and more each week. So, yeah, there's been some really good stuff coming out, and there's some stuff that's upcoming as well. We're really excited about bringing in some Kickstarter stuff as well. So once we get the books rolling in, I'm up to I think 25 books that we've supported online. So as soon as those start rolling in, give them a quick read, then I'll share those with you guys as well. I just think there's so much content out there. There's so many really good creators. I just wish we had more time to read more to point them out. But yeah, I mean, you look anywhere now, you'll find some really good stuff. So we're hoping to keep bringing you guys some really good reads that you guys can check out at your local comic book store. So yeah, definitely. All right, kiddies. Until next time, if you like what you heard, subscribe to the podcast. Better yet, tell 100 of your friends to come and join us each week. We'll pick up books off the shelves where we can get them to, highlight these really awesome creators. If you're a creator yourself and you want to be on the podcast, talk about a project that you have coming up, indiecreatorcomics.com. Just click on the podcast form tab, fill everything out. John excuse me. John and I would love to have you on the show. Last but not least, not the cough. Yes. Support your local comic shops, because without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do, and that's read comics. We love to read comics. John, where do you get your comics from?
Well, I get my comics at The Joker's Child in Fair Lawn, New Jersey, where we have all these great comics that we reviewed, plus more. We have more comics. We have all these Halloween comics. We got horror comics. We got superhero comics. We got Halloween costumes and masks, and we got new clothing in. Man, it's going crazy over at The Joker's Child. Get in on the action. Get your holiday shopping done early. Just come on down to say hi. Visit The Joker's Child in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Or if you can't get to Fair Lawn, please, please, please be sure to patronize your local comic shop and use whatever device you need to do to find them and buy some physical comics in person and, give a good handshake to your local comic shop owner or retailer, because, boy, they do work really hard.
And there you have it, kiddies. Until next time, please read Indie Made, support